Welcome, fam, to the week 2 recap of the 2024 season. I have a special guest with me, EJ. He
Hello,
is,
hello.
I see you're making sure that the whole
Make
Indy
sure you got the
crew
whole thing. Yeah, little
can
Brett Favre
see.
action. Little Brett Favre.
Ah, all right. So, but maybe before we even get into this, because that is an impactful game for all of us. I actually got to watch it because the Bears played the night game. So I
Yeah.
actually got the Packers Colts game here, and I was pumped to watch it. And then I wasn't so pumped when I was watching it. What? Please explain how the Packers ended up beating our team. What was it? 16-10 was the final
Yeah.
score or something rough?
Just just don't turn the ball over and run the ball right down your throats, I guess.
Yeah, true. Because
Yeah.
shoot, and we'll get into it later, but Jacobs had 32 rushes. I think they said they ran. I mean, the amount of rushing yards they had against the Colts was brutal,
Yeah.
and that's all they did. I mean,
I mean, play defense. I mean, we had a pretty good defense this year.
yep,
Being at home probably helped too.
yep,
But yeah, just run the ball. Don't let Malik kill us or hurt us
yeah.
throwing the ball. Just don't turn it over. I thought they'd do a lot more like sweeps and stuff like that. Get like Jalen Reed involved. But I mean, Jacobs was having a great game, so it was just
He really
keep.
was. The holes were open for him. It was tough to see, and I think it's interesting because in my mind, as a very basic fan of the game, I think to myself like they threw the ball a total of like 14 times. That's it.
Yeah,
It was like
yeah,
I think Malik was 12 of 14 or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
And in my mind, I'm like, well, how do we not realize that that's all they're going to do is run the ball? And why didn't we focus on just like them running the ball? And I know
yeah.
that there's they were claiming that, Love might play. Come on, let's be fucking real and know that he's
No,
not playing after that. And even,
no.
yeah, so it's like, I don't see how they don't focus on that. What I'll say from the Colts side, I saw Jonathan Taylor running well.
Hmm.
I don't
Yeah,
under, and then they want Anthony Richardson to be the team, and so then they don't do it. But like every time JT touched the ball, it felt like something good was happening. And maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe others saw it differently, but I just felt like we needed to give JT the ball a lot more than we did in that
yeah.
game.
I agree. I think he's back to last year. He obviously slumped a little, but it seems like through the first two, he's looked pretty good, back to
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah,
But
I would say. And
yeah,
you're in friggin' Green Bay. That's where he played in Wisconsin. I know it's on the
yeah,
opposite side of the state, but it doesn't mean any that he's a Wisconsin guy. Like he's in
yeah,
Green Bay. Like you gotta feed him the rock, man. He was looking good.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
we'll get
We'll we'll
into
we'll
it.
we'll take it, and I'm glad Love's not out for the year because I was scared shitless. Let's say
Yeah,
that first game when he went down, it didn't look good. I was like, oh great, first game of the year, season's over. So I mean, if we can get along like 500 with him with Malik at our quarterback, get him back, and so
yeah.
see,
Well, so far you're 0 with him and 1,000% without him.
yeah,
So
that's fine. Yeah.
I
I
guess
say
we're
we
doing
got the
batting
we got the
stats at that
tight
point.
we got the Titans next week, and then we got the Vikings. So
Yeah,
Vikings kind of scare me a little bit, but we'll
a little
see.
bit. Yeah. What's
Yeah.
up? Hello.
Hi,
Hi. Sage is making her
special
weekly
guest.
appearance. You remember
Hi.
EJ? This is EJ.
I don't remember.
Well,
That's
it's
okay.
Amber's husband. Okay. And
I
it's
stayed.
Uncle Andy's son-in-law.
Yeah, I stayed at your house one time, long time ago.
Yeah, I think it was before Tage, right? That was
Yeah, I
before
think
Tage
so.
was born. And
Yeah,
that sounds crazy to think that.
yeah,
Man, like
yeah.
it probably was like 28, was it 2018, 2017?
I think we talked about it last time last year. Thought it was like 2018 or 29 or yeah,
So it'd be
because it was before.
2018 because it was like the fall, and it was probably just before she was born. She was born in summer of 2019.
Okay,
20,
yeah, I think so. I think you're right because it was before COVID. I know that for sure.
yeah.
So yeah,
But I mean, she may have seen you in Omaha. I don't know. You may have seen him in Omaha or something. I don't know. But
yeah.
you want to say hi to everybody out there in the fantasy football league? Say hi. All right. Bye. Bye, Tager. We just had practice, so clean up. Yeah. We just got
How'd
done with
T?
T-ball practice.
I was gonna say how'd T-ball go?
Oh, I mean, there are just days, man. Well, this time it was actually the other coach wanted to he's had a lot of ideas of how things should go. And a lot of his ideas are very mature ideas in my mind. Like these are 4 and 5 year olds.
Yeah.
So let's just say I let him run it today. I said, "Hey man, you got a lot of ideas. Like, please have at it, man. Take this practice." He said, "Yeah, no sweat." And it was brutal. It was a tough one, man, because a lot of his stuff is like, all right, they're gonna wait in line and do this. Like, oh, you want 11 4 year olds just after they've already had to listen to a bunch of people for the entire day at 5 o'clock tonight, you want them to just stand in line and each hit one at a time and weird stuff like that. Like that's there's a reason why I split them up into the smallest groups I possibly can and try to get them all doing different things. So
Yeah. Keep them moving, keep them active.
yeah. But let's just say I was like I could have been here earlier, but like my practice like is went a little longer and whatever. But all was well, and at the end I think he realized like, well, we might have to do this slightly different in the
Yeah.
future.
Do we want to bring up the elephant in the room or
Yeah, I will. I think so. The
okay.
elephant you mean that's not in the room?
That's not in the room. Yeah.
That's not in the room. There should have been an elephant in this room. His name would have been Andy, and he's not here. And that's not a fat joke, Andy. That's like, what is going on? So, EJ, they was telling you this. This has got to be. I'm gonna say the third time he's done this to me. Andy, he's gonna snap back. You know how Andy is. Oh no, no. Look, Andy has told me he's gonna do this like many a time, and then like the day before or oftentimes the day of, it'll be like, I'm sorry, man, I gotta skip out. And it's always when there's like somebody else to do it, he like skips out. So I think he gets nervous when others are on because he's just not very good at this game. And so maybe that's it. I don't know. What do you think, EJ? Why is he?
I think we'll get into it, but there's someone that he might have lost to this week that's on this podcast that might be a son-in-law. So, um,
Yeah,
also, if you want me, I'll drive over to their house and make sure Joanne actually did get a flat tire just to see if he was lying or
yeah.
not.
I think we
Yeah,
need to do some recon. I am with you. I think you got to find
I'll
out.
get Amber on it right now during on the case.
But what I will say is he chose a topic that seems like it normally does happen from Joanne. I'm sorry if you watch these podcasts, but I was told about a few accidents that you may have caused. Specifically, Amber might know of one of these, and it may have impacted her too.
There,
Not too far from home either. That's probably the funnier part.
I've heard some car incidents, let's say, yeah, from her. So we'll see. But should have been
Yeah,
working. She should have been coming home from work. So maybe she just hit a nail or something. So
yeah. So that's what. So there's car troubles with Joanne, which is why Andy, being the man that he is helping out and is gonna fix it. You
yeah,
know it. He is gonna be the man that calls whatever company to come fix it. That's
yeah.
what Andy.
Tow truck's on the way right now.
Exactly. But that's why Andy couldn't join us. He was supposed to be here, but he instead claims that Joanne has a flat tire. So we're gonna do this without him. EJ, you know how I kind of roll with these things. In order to do this, I gotta share my screen. So I'm gonna go ahead and share. And don't worry, everybody, I am sharing the sound and all that fun stuff. So we're gonna do all that. So we don't have to go through what we did last time either. But
Yeah,
this is gonna be the week 2 recap. Just like we always do, we're going to go through the week 2 matchups, starting with that ass whooping, and then moving down to our nail biters. Then we'll get into the Dr. Sam injury report. After that, especially with this week, we're going to need to know what to do with our waiver wire here for a lot of us. Even Trade Central might be a big part of what happened this week with all the injuries. Then we'll hit the comment of the week and wrap up with the week 3 matchups. EJ, are you ready to rock and roll?
let's do it.
All right, we're going to start with that ass whooping. And this week, the ass whooping was for Glenn, unfortunately, me whooping on Glenn. Um, I, I only know how to start. He had Christian McCaffrey. It has rolled rough for him at the beginning of this week. And he put some players in just for the support of the team. So I love that. He's supporting his team. What did you see in this? Could anything happened differently? Like, how did this shake out for Glenn to not be such a great week?
Yeah, I mean, Glenn with no CMC's gonna be tough.
Yep.
Um, I mean, anybody that drafted him obviously didn't expect him to be out like this,
Nope.
especially to start the year. I mean, we already kind of touched on it. Anthony Richardson didn't have the best game, so 8 points there didn't really help him. I mean,
No.
Marvin Harrison Jr. finally had a huge game. I actually have him in my other uh, team that I'm in. I'm in two leagues. I got Harrison Jr. and St. Brown as my two top wide receivers in that league. And last week they had 2 points, and this week they had about whatever 50. So it was a complete opposite of.
Yeah. You and I might have to
Yeah.
connect. That's what I have in my big money league is that.
Oh,
So this
nice.
week,
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Much
Yeah. Much
better.
better. Yeah. And then yeah, just the legate, yeah, putting in
Get
Xavier.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I
Xavier.
get that one. That one was obviously just he's going to the game. He wants another thing to root for. So I was all over that. I love that. For
Yeah.
me on my side, like obviously huge week from the Arizona Cardinals. I was worried there for a while that him having Marvin Harrison, it was just kind of like counterbalancing my Kyler Murray and Trey McBride for the longest time, like really wasn't getting anything or doing much. But McBride even got back into the action as it went on and other stuff. So that was helpful. Nico had a big night against the Bears, which was a tough task. But Mike Evans and Brian Thomas Jr. didn't do great, but Brian Thomas did what I was hoping he would do, at least get double digits. Mike Evans had a rough game against Detroit, but it is what it is. But tough week for Glenn, tough time, just tough sledding for Glenn right now. That really is just a bummer for him. I mean, besides Marvin Harrison Jr., everybody and Tony Pollard did well. Everybody else kind of just didn't do so great for him. So rough week, Glenn. Sorry about that ass whooping, but
Yeah.
hopefully you'll be in the W column next week.
Yeah.
Next up, the reason why Andy's probably not here, which is you whooping up on Andy. I put this next. I think this was the next largest deficit. Maybe I had to check on that, but it's pretty close. I mean,
Yeah.
you beat him by almost 30. What do you think was the deciding factor in this one?
Not, I mean, I didn't do anything crazy special. Obviously, J.K. Dobbins, putting him in
Yep. Yep.
this week made a
Smart.
big impact, and probably moving forward looks like he's the guy. And I mean, fingers crossed he stays healthy, because I think he could do that all year if he's
Yep.
healthy.
Yep.
He's always been like that. Other than that, like I said, St. Brown came back finally with a good game. And then Rashee Rice I put in because AJ Brown's out right now. So we'll see what Dr. Sam has to say about AJ Brown, but I kind of need him. I kind of need him back in my lineup because I was feeling good about my wide receivers, and now I mean, Rice should be good, but other than that, I got Xavier Worthy, who I think is going to be kind of hit or miss, and then
Yeah.
Jordan Addison. So my receiving core is a little suspect, but on Andy's side, Travis Kelsey, obviously 1 point. Uh,
Ugh.
not he's probably not too happy about that. And then Rashid White didn't really do anything. But other than that,
No.
I mean, I hit my total and he basically didn't. I mean, he was under, so
Yeah.
wasn't nothing crazy, but
2 weeks in a row for him having lower totals than he wanted. Bijan getting 17 is good, but when he's projected for even higher, that gets kind of tough. But 17, I'd still take, from him. But you're right, Travis Kelce has not been good all year. I'm saying Kelce because I was corrected by a Kansas City fan. That's Kelce, not Kelsey. But anyways, he's been
yeah,
rough this year so far. Rashad White had a down one, and I will say even Drake London was trending towards a down week, but he got that touchdown nearing around the end of that game that really helped vault him. But you're right, it's one of those where as you see he's got a few in double digits and then others that just stunk it up, and so it's kind of tough when you get that combo. You're never going to reach the heights that you'd like to get to.
yeah,
Um, but you're right, J.K. Dobbins, great week to have him against Carolina. That's helpful. And for your side, I think you got a new tight end that's going to be going in that spot, if I'm not mistaken.
yep. That's what I was just going to bring up. I got in the Isaiah Likely phase, and I was like, oh, let's give him a whirl. But yeah, it looks like Brock Bowers is going to be pretty good this year. So I like
Yeah.
Likely. Like I like having Likely on the bench, so it'll be fine to
Oh
swap him
yeah.
out. But yeah, I think Bowers moving forward might be the guy there. So that looks pretty good.
To me, I would say, yeah, you're going to stay with Bowers now moving forward, and even on the likely side, I mean, it seems like he's at least got week to week upside. So if you, in case you get an injury or something, like not a bad guy to throw in there that you might get something from. So he
Yep.
didn't murder your team, but he didn't help it this week either.
Yep.
But I understood kind of going after it because you who knows what was going to happen with it. But now
Yeah.
you got Brock Bowers, and I expect he'll probably be in that spot moving
Yep.
forward.
Yep.
He's
It's
looking good, man.
yeah.
Looking
Just
good. And you get AJ Brown, Brock Bowers back. I mean, you're going to be a tough team to beat here. So
yeah. I'm just glad. I
looking
just say
good, Eagle.
one more thing to move on.
Yeah.
I'm just glad I'm 1-1, not 0-2 going in next week. So
Ah,
yeah.
ah, I know. Or last in your division, stuff like that. That's tough. That's tough.
Yeah.
All right. Now, this was the game of the week. I thought this was going to be the matchup of the week when last week when we talked about it. Uh, you know, it actually has for a good score for what actually happened because Evan Ingram was ruled out like during warm-ups of the game, and I
Oh,
think he was out on the golf course or something. So I don't know that he got at the time. So I don't. He must not have gotten the thing to tell him that hey, Evan Ingram's not gonna be playing. So in a sense, he's already playing a man down. And Sam had Alvin Kamara, who just went nuclear, and so did
mhm.
Devon Achane. I mean, his running backs, all three running backs combined were over 100 points. So
Yeah.
that's amazing. Anything else you'd like to add or that you saw in this matchup?
No, not really. I mean, I had those two, HN and Kamara obviously went
Yeah,
off.
yeah,
I think they both have pretty good teams. So,
yeah.
uh, obviously, yeah.
But look
But
at his wide receiver core and I mean Tyreek 5.3, DJ Moore 8.3, Goddard 5.3, his defense 5. Like if he doesn't have those huge games from those three guys, like he's nowhere. Like they just dominated it, which was
yeah,
obviously very helpful for him. Joe Burrow
yeah,
back to having a decently good game, so that's good to see too.
that is, yeah. I'd say I didn't even notice the Evan Ingram when I first looked at it, but the zero, yeah. But he doesn't even have a tight end on his bench, so he would have had to drop somebody on his bench though too, which he's got a pretty good bench too. So it would
Yeah.
have been, he probably would have dropped the Bears defense maybe, but I guess they might be a good defense. But
Oh
uh,
yeah, I'd keep them. They're looking good. But I mean, on Bob's side, it's also tough. Like Mixon goes out hurt, Cup goes out hurt. Ingram was hurt, before the game. So I mean, he had a lot of things going against him in that too. So that's pretty tough. It looks like Cup's going to be out for at least a few weeks or something, is what they're talking about. So that could be tough. And who knows what Joe Mixon's running into? He might be out for at least a week or two. Who knows? Like he might play, but man, it's like he just got hit with the injury bug just now as well. So a little tough one for Bob. But as you can still see, because I got this there, he's still second in the West,
mhm.
just behind Sam. So still doing okay, but some tough injuries that he's going to have to deal with moving forward in the coming weeks. All right. Now we got Kyle, his underperforming team, unfortunately, versus Zach, who really didn't have a great week. I mean, that 108, 0.96, that's like right in the middle of the pack. I mean, for a lot of us, we would have beat him, in a sense. So
Yeah.
not a great score on Zach's side, but enough of a score to get it done for the week, and he'll take that W.
Yeah.
Anything that you're seeing in these matchups or anything you could have done differently from either side?
Not, I mean, not really. I mean, like you said, Zach just had two guys basically go off. I mean, James Cook obviously was a big one on Thursday night, and then Chris Godwin, which I'm sure we'll get that slide later, went off went off again for him. I mean, that's
Man,
54 points right there. That's half of the points he scored just in those two guys. Josh
yeah.
Allen obviously had a bad game, but obviously he'll bounce back, I'm sure.
Yeah, they
Uh,
didn't really need him. Like that game went just kind of sideways pretty
yeah,
quickly. It was very, very odd because Achan seemed to be doing whatever he wanted and Cook seemed to be doing whatever he wanted. So definitely a very interesting game that impacted Josh Allen's performance in the end of it too. He didn't have to do too much.
yeah, yeah. And then on the other side, obviously Matt Stafford, for if he would have had, I guess
Ugh.
Dak Prescott, and he still 1-1, but both those guys didn't have very good games. I don't see anybody else on his bench they really could have subbed in to help him either too. So Kenneth
Yeah.
Walker, he's got Kenneth Walker, so another injury that I'm
Yep.
sure Dr.
Yep.
Sam
That
will get into. It's just injuries everywhere, so people are going to be going deep, I think, next week for sure.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say on Kyle's side, and I don't know that he had anybody that would have, he didn't have anybody else that would have done it for him anyways to get him this W. But the Alan Lazard thing, I felt like that was chasing points, and I'll just be honest, I didn't really like that move because while yeah, I know he had two touchdowns the week before, like one of them was in garbage time. It was just kind of like a touchdown that kind of just happened for him, and in the end, like I don't know, man. I just didn't see it happening. I would have probably played some other guys with some potential upside, but I don't know who else he had off the top of my head to say like, oh, that would have been the way to go. Because as I'm looking at it, I mean, Ty Chandler had double digits for him, but I'm surprised he benched Tank Dell for an Alan Lazard. Tank Dell didn't do anything either, so he did the same exact thing Lazard did.
But
But
that's what I was gonna say. He's got Tank Dell there, but for the first 2 weeks, Tank Dell hasn't done nothing for.
yeah, I just look at it for upside. I'm always up, like,
Yeah,
with flex, especially looking at my squad. Where am I at? Do I need this upside? And I felt like with Zeke and Henry as your RBs, like they got to score to be valuable. And so, with that being the case, I'm usually going to probably try to head for a little bit of upside there. And so I just something you could have done differently, but it wouldn't have changed anything. So in the end, doesn't really matter. Zach walks away with a W, even though Pitts didn't do well, Waddle doesn't do well, Ayuk doesn't do well. Everybody else kind of covered for him. Allen doesn't do well, but he like I said, he ekes by with a victory and is now 2-0 compared to Kyle's 0-2. So another part of the fam on that side that is 0-2, not loving going into week 3 that way. I've been there. Trust me, I've been there too many times. Now we'll get to our first nail biter of the week. Man, was this a nail biter. I'll let you go before I share my side because I was actually watching it and Allison couldn't watch at the time, so I was actually watching it and I was biting my nails at one point. But what did you see? It was only a 3-point victory to get it in the end, and it came down to that Kansas City game, and it was tough.
yeah. I just want to offer my condolences to your wife because
uh,
her team is really black and blue right now. That is
yep, yep.
Tua, Pacheco, and Debo. Those three going down.
I think Tua's
And
only seeing black and blue right now, so who knows? I
yeah,
feel for that guy. Yeah,
he's got to retire. That he can't play no more. That I
I
mean,
don't think so.
he's got to look out for his health. It's just it's
I,
too.
I and you know what? Not to get sidetracked on us, but he will play football again because I think he's the kind of guy that's going to say they paid me this money, like they just paid him that money,
Yeah.
and he's going to feel obligated to do it. I just know it,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it just man,
Yeah.
to it's going to be tough.
I just don't want to see someone die out there, and he's at the point where it's getting close. I mean,
Yeah,
every time with the hands, it's scary.
yeah. When you saw, I mean, that whole play was scary. Right when it happened, I knew it. He right when he lowered his head and went into Damar Hamlin of all people,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
right when he did it, I was like, oh no. I literally was like, oh no.
No, yeah.
And in my mind, and it's funny because Zach was talking about it before, and he's like, well, he had to go to the first down. I was like, no, he was actually 3 yards past the first down when he did that. He didn't
Yeah.
have to do that.
Yeah.
And like knowing his history, but hey, if you play football, you play a certain way, I'm sure, and it's tough to get out of that. But man, that was tough to see.
Yeah. I'm a little worried about Pacheco going down if that's going to affect uh Mahomes at all, not having a run game, or maybe it'll help. We'll be throwing the ball more, so we'll see. But yeah, I wanted Pacheco. She took him in front of me, so well now I'm like, oh okay, that's why. But yeah, I'm sure
Yeah,
he'll be back and he'll be fine.
fractured, yeah, fractured fibula. They're saying
Yeah,
like 6 to 8 weeks, which Dr.
six.
Sam will tell us all about it. That's what I heard. So Dr. Sam might
Yeah,
tell us something different, but that's what
gotcha.
I've heard today from it, just in
Okay.
case I'm more updated. Maybe Dr. Sam's more updated. But you're right. And then Debo, they said he's got like a contusion of some kind, so he's out for a few weeks. So yeah, she got hit hard. Two is going to be out. Pacheco will be out. Debo will be out. I mean, what, like you said, Pacheco was taken what the second round because I think she took him kind of back
Yep.
to back early.
Yep.
So he's a
Yeah.
second rounder. Debo was probably a third rounder or fourth rounder for her.
Mhm.
Tua was probably middle rounds. Like that's a lot of draft capital just boom gone. So that part is really tough for her. She already had Kendrick Miller on IR, but then even some of her backups that could be Tajay Spears is questionable. Tank Bigsby is questionable. I mean, people that would go in potentially. Well, it's like, man, she's getting hit hard with that. So I feel for her there.
I saw a screenshot on Facebook or Instagram or something like that was someone's team, and it just said their whole team is injured, and it was like all these heavy hitters like Tua,
Oh,
Pacheco, Samuel,
oh,
like all like
like
everyone was just
yeah.
red.
Oh man, that's
So
brutal.
yeah, funny, but it was
And
a tough one.
I'm gonna say two. So I'm gonna say one thing before I get into like legitimately my quick story, my as quick as it can be story on this nail biter. So first, JSN looked great. So I think Louis might have another starting wide receiver there for him because he got a lot of looks this week and he looked great. So JSN might be somebody he can plug into his lineup now.
Mhm.
For Allison side, that nail biter, she was down six. There's about 9 minutes left in the game for Kansas City. She's down six, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, okay, well, they'll probably get at least like two more drives. I'm imagining. So he's got to have it. So I think he got like a couple runs on like or like one or two. So he nailed it down to where now she's down four with their next drive coming at like that around the 2 minute mark, right? So they had the ball before it like 4 minutes or something like that, 4.5. Pacheco gets a good another run, another couple like two or three runs, gets it down to this point where now she's only within like three, and they're at like the 50-ish, right? They're about half, about midway of the field. And all I'm thinking to myself is like, okay, this truly coming down to this game. It's cool. It's a nail biter. Like if he just gets another couple runs, if you could break a big one, or if you get a touchdown in this or something, she's got the victory. And then that play happened. And I've seen so many of those where I'm amazed when guys don't get hurt
Yeah,
based on what they look like. They're getting bent backwards on there on somebody. And then
yeah,
but he ran off that field. Think about that. That dude ran off the field. He didn't ask for somebody to come over there. He
yeah,
looked like he just sprained his ankle. He's like, somebody come. I'm just limping off the field, like running. I was amazed at that. And then to find out it's a fractured fibula. Who's he? Tim Tebow? Like, what is happening?
yeah.
Like, yeah, so that was a tough one for her. When he goes out and he didn't come back, I'm like, oh, she just lost on that Pacheco injury right there. That is tough.
Yeah.
Super tough. But sorry, Allison, you are black and blue and feeling it too hard. And Louis, again, I mean, he had a lower score than Zach, so he has eked out a victory, and he is thankful to be 2-0 right now in the East. But that goes for our final nail biter. I unfortunately fell asleep because what a boring ass game to watch for Bears people. But man, when I woke up and so I thought Tyler had it. I really did because Casey, I don't think had anybody going in that last game. Tyler got three guys going. He's got Stroud and Diggs plus Swift all going. I'm like, I think at that point he didn't really need a ton, but I thought they could easily get it amongst themselves. And then Murphy's Law, that's just what happens, and he loses by 0.14 points.
It's crazy.
So brutal. Anything that you like highlighted in this barn burner of a fucking matchup?
I'll be honest, I didn't realize it was that close when all the texts and stuff were going on, and then
Sure.
seeing that, and then seeing that today, it's like, I mean, there could have been any sort of like little adjustment this morning, I mean, fantasy adjustment where a rushing yard or something was wrong or a completion, and that could have
Yeah,
swayed it could have swinged it
that's
because
true.
I've
No,
seen
that's
I've seen
true.
that happen before.
Scoring adjustments do happen. That's actually very
Yeah,
true. I didn't
yeah,
even think about that, but you're right. Like that totally could have happened for him,
but
but it didn't.
yeah, but yeah, no, it did, of course. Yeah, Murphy's Law. But Jordan Mason, that drop by Zach, I mean, helped out Casey again. 20
Oh my
points.
Lord. Yeah, without that, he's not winning the game. So,
No, no.
because both teams kind of in a sense shot the bed. I mean, yeah, Brees Hall's going to carry that team continually because he's just one of the best
Yeah,
players in the game.
yeah.
But what I will say is DeAndre Swift is terrible. He's not a good running back. When the Bears got him, I'm like, okay, what are they doing? It does like he's not an impactful player on that side. For Casey's side, I mean, Laporta, this seems like the second week in a row where Laporta's
Mhm.
just not there. Jamar Chase, again, not looking good. I mean, he's having issues. Hopefully they're starting to get connected a little bit better. Jaden Daniels had a down week, but you're going to have to deal with that as a rookie quarterback that runs like he does. He's going to have these up and down weeks, but
Yeah.
Casey also got -1 from the Cowboys. And interesting enough, actually, that's one thing I wanted to point out. I did write it as a note. I'm sur- Now Cowboys are just don't have a great defense, so I get in a sense why. But knowing that New Orleans put up 45 points last week, I'm surprised he played Dallas instead of Pittsburgh. I would have played Pittsburgh against Denver because Denver is just not a good team, and I think he could have done more, and they would have done better. So it would not have been actually much of a nail biter at that point for him if he played Pittsburgh, because I believe Pittsburgh might have gotten double digit points or something like that.
Yep,
Uh,
12 points they would have
Boom.
got.
So he had a
Yep.
13-point difference. So he bet 96 instead of 83 because their Cowboys took away a point from you. They didn't,
Yeah.
you
Yep.
know. So that's the only thing I would have done differently on Tyler's side. I don't think I saw anything differently to do,
No,
but
no, he had Amari Cooper. Well, no, never mind. He only had 2 points. Never mind. He just had Geno Smith that had 22, but you don't start him over CJ Stroud. So
right,
um, nothing.
exactly. You're
Yeah.
gonna play that. And the only reason I say maybe you do is so I like Stroud as a player, and that's why I think you're going to stay with him because great players do great things. And so, yes, like you said, you're probably just going to stick with him.
Yeah.
However,
I
in
agree.
fantasy, like even last year when he had that huge year, he was like number 11 or 12 in fantasy. That's not like at the end of the day, if there's 12 teams, like, do you really want the number 12 quarterback? No, you want like a top 3 or 4 guy. Like, oh, number 12, oh, he's QB1. Good. He was the worst QB1 of the league, right? It's like
Yeah.
you don't really want that. And so Stroud's style can be kind of tough against a really tough defense. The Bears have a great defense. And so
Yeah.
something I think to
I,
look out for maybe if you have a similar situation and you're going up against the Bears or you got your backup, like what do you do unless they're like a true Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, that kind, you know?
Stroud must struggle in the red zone through the first 2 weeks because I have the Texans kicker in my other league, and
Oh
he's like
yeah.
one of like my top points getter through 2 weeks because it's like over 50 yards is like 5 points. It's kind of weird. It's a little different. So
Yeah.
yeah, he scored like 20 points the first 2 weeks, both weeks. So
Wow.
yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
so he's
I'm
been a
glad we don't
weapon
play
for
with them
me.
here because they sway it heavily,
Yeah,
but you're right.
I like not having it if I
Yeah, it
you
gets
know.
tough. I always hate when a kicker I hate when a kicker wins it for you or loses it for you. Like that's the way you
Yeah,
can look at it. It's like, oh, my kicker didn't win because the team scored 35 points, so he got 5 extra points. He got five, whereas Groupie just fucking kicked 5 field goals last week and plus some and was like had like
yeah,
20 some odd points as a kicker. So it always gets tough for
yep.
that one.
I
But
agree.
nice win, Casey. He pulls out somehow. He's 1-1. Tyler's 1-1. They're back to back in that division, and Casey technically has more has like the head to head win on him, and I think more points than Tyler. So he's got the leg up, and that's why he's fourth in the West instead of fifth. But both 1-1, so at least they're both on that side of it. It was a good week, week two. A lot of cool things happening. I liked it better than week one. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Nice we're starting to hopefully figure out a few things about our teams and kind of seeing where they should go.
Yep. Yep.
Speaking of that, we got to get into our injury report. But part of that injury report is some sponsors, and so I was able to drum up some sponsors for us, CJ. And
All right.
uh, yeah, this week we are sponsored by Crazy So. It's Captain Crazy here to tell you about a brand old product you can't find in stores. I'm talking about Crazy Soap, one of the best soaps not on the market today. It's crazy good, and it's crazy how it eats through stains in your clothes, on the wall, or even your hands. So if you want to get your hands on this very rare and apparently illegal good soap, call my pals at Great Lakes Marketing and they'll ship you a pallet crazy fast. Oh, what a great sponsor Crazy Soap was this week. And I'm sorry that the Crazy Soap that I misspelled it in that little thing there. So my bad to Captain Crazy
No,
on
there,
that.
there goes
But
that There goes that sponsorship. Thanks a
I
lot, Rick.
know you are right, EJ. They are not going to help us out anymore. Oh well. But let's hear from Dr. Sam, who is dangerously doing it in his car while speeding at the 100 miles an hour on the Detroit highways where there's tons of potholes. But let's find out from Dr. Sam what the injuries are this week.
All right, lots to cover here for the week 2 injury report with Dr. Sam. We'll start with the quarterbacks. Looks like Jordan Love for the Packers is still going to be sidelined with the knee injury. Looked like it was a sprained MCL, so could potentially be out another 2 weeks. Typically, I think it's about 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the severity. Tua obviously suffered the pretty big concussion. There's a potential for him to go on IR, and
Which he
I think
did.
he's going to get other neurology visits this week, so we'll just have to kind of see what it comes back in terms of symptoms and how fast he's progressing through that. Justin Herbert looked like he sprained an ankle, but he's typically going to be okay. Probably just a little bit of decreased mobility going into next week. Running backs now. Joe Mixon has a potential for a high ankle sprain. Not a whole lot of information out on that yet, so we'll just have to check the practice plans to see if he is playing. Isaiah Pacheco has a fractured fibula, so he's going to be out at least 6 to 8 weeks. There typically is going to be a little bit of a drop in production towards the end of the season if he's able to come back. Rashad White injured his groin. Once again, groins are kind of similar to the hamstrings for like the cutting and the stopping, so he's going to be at a high re-injury rate for the rest of the season when he does come back. Kenneth Walker looks like he had a pulled oblique. I didn't see a whole lot in terms of if he's going to come back or not, but typically obliques aren't going to keep you out for too long. Tajay Spears looks like he had kind of like a low-grade ankle injury, so he'll probably be able to play week 3, but probably with some decreased reps or a little bit of decreased mobility. Obviously, the news broke that CMC is going to be on the injured reserve for at least 4 weeks. Moving on to the long list of wide receivers, Deebo Samuel is out with a calf strain, so he's going to be out for probably 2 to 3 weeks. Dip in production to at least probably week 6. AJ Brown has a pulled hammy, so he's also going to be one with a high re-injury risk for about 6 to 8 weeks. Cooper Kupp looked like it was a pretty severe high ankle sprain, so he's probably on the IR, going to be out for at least 5 weeks with a little bit of a ramp-up period when he does come back. Looks like Justin Jefferson and Amon-Ra St. Brown just had like quad contusions. They thought they might have been knees, but I think everything was cleared. So they're likely going to play. Typically, they're going to be good for the game. Maybe like a small dip in production, but not much of anything. Jordan Addison looks like he's still dealing with the ankle sprain. From what I read, he didn't really progress through the week 2 protocol as well as they would have liked, so he's probably going to be out another week, but you'll just have to check practice plans throughout the week. T. Higgins also out with a hamstring. They do get an extra day of rest because I believe they play next Monday, and it sounds like they're optimistic that he's going to play, but could just be kind of like a smoke and mirrors having him out there. Obviously, Puka Nacua is on the injured reserve with a PCL injury. Hollywood Brown is also on the IR with a shoulder injury, so those guys are going to be out at least 4 weeks. Keenan Allen looks like he has plantar fasciitis, so he's going to kind of have like up and down performances until that's kind of resolved. Similar to like turf toe, you can some days have good performance, some days not so much. Just depends on kind of how it feels. And it looks like tight end Evan Ingram is still week to week with his hamstring. So whenever it's one of these like soft tissue injuries, groins, hamstrings, stuff like that, they are going to be at kind of higher risks for re-injuries. So they're going to probably err on the side of caution, maybe keep those guys out for an additional week. And then just have to kind of monitor as they go, because those guys with the soft tissues are pretty high risk for re-injury early on after that.
Well, thank you, Dr. Sam. That was, I mean, I thought it was great. You did a pretty good job.
Yeah, you might he might need a raise with the list of players he's got to do some research
Yeah,
on.
that's true too. There's so many like at this point. Because what I like about Dr. Sam is he doesn't just talk about the guys that got injured this week. He's still talking about guys that are coming back off of injury, like a Jordan Addison or a Puka Nacua, stuff like that. From what I saw for the Hollywood Brown is he's actually out for the season, if I'm not mistaken. So I think they've decided he's done for the year.
Yep, I seen that too. Yeah, he's out for the year.
So that's going to be
Because
tough for Kansas City. I mean, he wasn't playing with them yet, except for in preseason. But with Pacheco out, you got Hollywood Brown out. You got to wonder kind of what their tactic is going to be. and maybe we can kind of dice and slice through that here in the waiver wires.
Yep.
So first, let's go into quarterbacks. That's what we're going to start with, like we always do. Our waiver wire QBs at the top of this list. Here's what I'll say. I don't know. Is there anybody on this list that intrigues you if you were in need of a quarterback?
I think you could cut the list to just Sam Darnold and Derek Carr, and then just eliminate the rest. I would say. I mean, Derek Carr. I mean, he
Yeah,
intrigued me. I mean, that offense is clicking.
yeah,
They got a new offensive coordinator, from what I heard. I don't really know much about him, but obviously something's going right. They're just scoring at will. So,
yeah.
and then Sam Darnold. I mean, he's got plenty of weapons there, and I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's always been a decent quarterback, but give him a few weapons, a little confidence, and maybe he's going to be better than people thought. So,
Agreed. And
other
he's
than
more
that,
mobile. He's more mobile than people give him credit for too. He's like actually, he's kind of like a lot of these guys now that like they can be mobile if they gotta be, but it's not his goal. His goal isn't to run. His goal is to run so
yeah,
he can pass or do whatever.
yeah.
But I
And I
agree
mean,
with that.
he was supposed to be a good quarterback. He just went to the Jets and they ruined him. And then
Yeah.
he got rejuvenated in San Fran with some good coaching. And now look at him. So who
And
knows?
weird, after the Jets, he went to the Carolina Panthers. I can't
Oh
believe
yeah,
he also sucked there. It's
I forgot
weird.
about the Panthers. Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, weird how he also sucked there because they suck. So that's bad. Sorry, Glenn, but you got
Yeah,
to help
well,
your team out.
you got the Red Rocket on there, so
Yeah, I know. I got him at the bottom. I wanted to make sure I got him. I honestly for QBs, I'll put anybody that has points next to him, projected points. But what about Kyle Logis right there underneath Sam Darnold? What about Kyle Logis? Do you think he could do anything?
Kyle just
Do
that's
you think
funny.
he could? Because
Minshew.
here's what I'm only gonna throw out Gardner Minshew because they're facing Carolina. That's the only reason I'm throwing it out there.
Yeah,
Yes, I'm with you. I'd rather go Derek Carr, especially against Philly. I mean, Philly's defensive backfield is not good. I mean, they've so far 2 games in a row because Atlanta looked miserable week 1. Week 2, they looked much better throwing the ball. So I feel like the Philly is somebody you can attack through the air. So
yeah,
I think you're right. Derek Carr's #1. And Sam Darnold, I'm with you, man. I think, you're in a high pace offense that likes to throw the ball. I think, he could be, a really nice option for us. And I just want to check actually before we move on. I want to kind of see he's QB9 so far through the
wow.
first 2 weeks. So just so everybody's aware, he's QB9. Derek Carr's QB2 in our league. So QB2 in our league is Derek Carr. Now,
Yeah,
Minshew is QB 21, so I'm only throwing it out there because he's facing like the worst defense in the league.
yeah.
Um, but usually they might run the ball more too. Who knows? I was more throwing it out there. Do not go for Will Levis against anybody. Don't do that. Daniel Jones, nope, nope. We don't do Daniel Jones. We don't do Bo Nix. I'm interested to see what Skylar Thompson might do just because he has all the weapons, but they're going to suck. He's not going to be
Mhm.
good for them either. So we'll
No,
see who they pick up at quarterback for their team. But that's the
yeah.
waiver wire QBs for this week. Not too many to grab, but there are a couple if you're in need of one. Now, because running backs do get injured, and one named Pacheco did get injured, we do have a few on here that might be looking good. Anybody on here that you might be interested in?
I mean, I guess you have to look at the top two there with the injuries going on. I mean,
Yep,
I don't have no clue who Carson Steele is.
I
Um,
know.
I think he's an undrafted rookie, right? I don't even know where he's out of.
Oh, no, I don't know that he's a rookie.
Is he? Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know. Is he a rookie?
It says quickly progressed from an undrafted rookie to surprisingly a member of the Kansas City 50-man 3 roster to a potential
Okay.
starter. So I don't know where he came from. I'm
Yeah,
curious
because
to.
he came through as a fullback.
Okay.
Like he's
Okay.
technically they have him like listed as a fullback on there. But yeah, he's this long-haired stallion guy, like
Yeah.
that, and he does look good. I mean, he looks good out there when he's running, but he's not, I mean, nothing too crazy. But yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know where to go with that, EJ. I don't know if he's the guy or not to pick up.
No, I don't. Yeah. I mean, Devontae Foreman. I like Braylon Allen, but obviously you're behind Brees Hall there. So, but I think
Yeah,
he's going to be a pretty good running back sooner or later. I mean,
agreed. And
He's
they're
only
actually
20 years
talking.
old.
He's getting, yeah, he's like the youngest player in the NFL or something,
He
right?
was the youngest player to ever score a touchdown in the NFL at
Wow.
20 years old and like 200 days or something like that or something.
Yeah, they were saying something like even through the year, he won't, like even through his first season, he still won't be able to get a beer with everybody.
Yeah,
Like he's
yeah,
still going to be 20,
yeah.
which is great. I mean, because he's also getting run. Like oddly enough, even with Brees Hall there, Braylon Allen is getting some touches too. So who knows? Like I think especially if you're the Brees Hall owner, I would love to have Braylon Allen as well. So I would definitely pick him up if I own Brees Hall, which I think is Tyler. So Tyler might be looking at Braylon Allen to pick up just to have him. With these other guys like Carson Steele, I know we talked about him. He's running back in a good offense. You have Pacheco out for 6 to 8 weeks minimum, as Sam had said. And even when he comes back, he's not going to be ready to like really rock and roll. So he might be a good one to pick up. And Deonta Foreman, he just got more run. First week didn't look good for him, and this week he got more run, I think, than Jerome Ford did. So another good guy to potentially pick up. And some of these other guys might just be handcuffs. I think of a Isaac Garendo. You check. He was actually out there and he gets the run, but Juszczyk is just some guy like if you're going to throw a Kyle Juszczyk out there, I think you're just hoping he gets a touchdown, and I don't like to
Touchdown.
just bet on some guy just to get a touchdown.
Yeah.
Another one I throw out though, I don't know if he's on a team, but with Joe Mixon's injury, they showed Dameon Pierce here, but I think Dameon Pierce is also hurt. So Cam Akers might be
Mm.
another running back that someone might look into, especially if you're a Joe Mixon owner or something like that. Cam Akers might get some run here, and he hasn't looked bad. He's actually looked decent in preseason, and so he might be another guy to look at.
Uh, Kansas City, I think, signed Kareem Hunt today too.
Oh, did they? So they
Yeah.
actually did do it. I know he was
I,
coming
I'm
in.
I'm pretty sure that they said last. I think last I saw that he signed this afternoon. So maybe I mean he could take over that backfield if he's in shape and ready to go. I guess, and he's
Yeah,
been so.
he's been a touchdown machine. He was with Cleveland, last few years. So there you go. There's another guy.
Yeah.
Look at that. See, we got an expert on here adding
Yeah.
some stuff. Nice job.
Not an expert.
All right, now let's head to the wide receivers. There are a few guys on here that I would probably highlight, but anybody on here that you would highlight or that you might pick up if you were needed a wide receiver?
The first one that I looked at was Mooney, Darnell Mooney from Atlanta. Because for some reason, I think that offense is going to start clicking with Kirk Cousins. I mean, obviously, last night they went down 90, whatever, 80 yards in a minute or whatever to win.
Well, I agree with you. Think of how many targets that man got. I swear he
Yeah.
got 10 targets.
Did he?
He got 10 targets. Oh no, that's on the year. But he got
Uh,
seven. But
Seven.
he
Okay.
got seven. Only had 3 catches.
Yeah.
Right. That's 3 catches, 88 yards, and a touchdown. So the touchdown is what carried him. But he had
Yeah.
7 targets. So I actually like your highlight there of Darnell Mooney because I would agree. I would almost think that he is the best option on here because of that offense, what they're trying to do, and he is the number 2 wide receiver in that offense.
Yeah.
So I do like that.
Yeah. The only other
Anybody
one,
else?
um, not really. I mean, Wandale Robinson got a ton of targets in the first game, but I guess
Yep.
I don't trust Daniel Jones. Jerry Judy obviously is still a pretty good receiver, I think, but you don't know with that offense what's going to
Right.
happen.
And
Joshua Palmer, a lot of people's talking about, or Quentin Johnson in that offense, but you just don't know who he's going to be going to. So
well, yeah, and interestingly enough, like even since I put this, I'm and EJ, so I put this screenshot on here 4 hours ago, 4 or 5
yeah.
hours ago. These adjustments have already been made. Like Jahan Dotson at 7'6", he's down to 6'1".
Oh wow.
Like that's his projection now. He only got 2 targets last night. So like you know what I mean, and that was with AJ Brown out. So we were talking about Jahan Dotson might take. I was like, no, I actually told somebody to get off of him. Like don't mess with Dotson. He's not going to do it. But I would agree. Like Jawan Jennings is up there because of the Debo Samuel
Yep.
injury. In a good offense, I think he's a solid guy to pick up for the time being without having Debo around. So I don't mind
Mhm.
that one. But there's actually are a few. Quentin Johnston. The only thing I'll say to that is he looked good. He got some run there, but he also like they threw the ball less than 20 times. They threw it,
Yeah.
I think, 19 times total for the Chargers. So you have Quentin Johnson and Josh Palmer. Who is it going to be? Who knows? Jordan
Yeah.
Whittington for the Rams with now Cooper Cup and Puka Nakua out. He's going to get some run. He plays the slot role. I think he'll have a surprising time, but they're playing San Francisco. Good
Yeah.
defense, you don't know. So a lot of people on here that, could make some noise, could have some run. It's just tough to say who it would eventually be. And that's why I think it's tough to say who people should go get. But the guy I'm going to highlight because I have him on here, Ray McLeod at the very bottom, and that's why I kept him on here.
Yep.
He got 7 targets week 1, 5 targets week 2. He's averaging 6 targets a game, not a whole lot, but again, slot receiver in a Sean McVay style offense could be valuable. He hasn't done so much with it yet. If he can get the end zone, it would be helpful, but he's going to get kind of where his average is, where it kind of says. So may not
Yeah.
be for everybody, but lots of wide receivers out there this week. A lot of them you might have to take a gamble on to see if it's going to pay off for you.
Yep.
And last but not least, we have our tight ends. One of these tight ends, actually, I should probably say two of them, had pretty nice weeks this past week. I'll say that. So those top two there. Anybody you'd be interested in, including those top two, or anybody even outside of?
No, like you just said, yeah, those top two obviously had big weeks. I was looking at, I guess I didn't even realize that before I started looking at that. But Gesicki had a good game. I didn't even know he
Yeah,
played for the. I didn't even know he played for the Bengals or
you
where
didn't
where
know
he
that?
was.
No,
It's
I
kind of been
yeah.
around.
Yeah, I only knew that because all the best ball teams I drafted this year, he was like there, and I was like, oh, I'm putting him, and I'm glad I did because he had a pretty big week this week. So he
Yeah,
may have actually got me points in that.
it just seems like if you don't have one of the top eight tight ends this year, it's just kind of they're all kind of mixed together. But
Yep,
it's been like that for a while now. It seems like with tight ends, it hasn't been very deep.
I would say that, and so when you're in that realm and you don't have a top guy, you're picking your poison for a defense. So we don't maybe have enough data yet to know what defenses really suck against the tight end. But what I can
Mhm.
tell you now is Washington Commanders have a terrible defense. If and I say this with a caveat because if T. Higgins is somebody that Sam mentioned in the injury report, T. Higgins is the wide receiver 2 for Cincinnati Bengals. If he is out again, I would totally take Mike Gesicki. Tough part. That's a Monday night game. How you gonna know?
Yeah.
You're not gonna know until it gets there. And did you make that gamble and didn't pay off for you or not? That's the unfortunate part to that. But it seemed like he got a lot more play because T. Higgins is out, so he was getting a lot of those targets.
I I would also say to the
On
Bengals,
him. Sorry.
Jamar. Nope, you're good.
Hey, are you better now? Yeah, you were having a rough one earlier. It might be recorded on this podcast. I don't know. Let's see. You want to say goodnight? Good night.
Night. Good night.
Yeah. Good night. Yeah. No, I love you. Mwah. Mwah. All right. Have a good day at school tomorrow. I won't see you. Remember. Okay. All right. Go ahead. Sorry, you were talking about Jamar
Oh,
Chase.
yeah, I was just saying, I mean, I think at any time that guy could say, I'm done playing with no contract. There's something going on there. Obviously, he's not happy. Just the way he was treating the ref, the Burrow. I mean, obviously he wants his money, but I mean, he could just say, I'm going to sit out or something. So I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on.
And that one I think is weird because like he's not. This isn't the last year of his contract.
Yeah,
He has another year after this. So that's
really.
the weird part with
Okay.
Jamar Chase stuff. That's why that one was the most odd because it's
Mhm.
like, dude, you have 2 years left. You don't have a year left. You have 2 years left. And I do understand that. Like, that's also why my mind, like, I push for, like, I think it's kind of BS that these guys have to get locked into like these 5-year rookie deals. That's
Yeah.
to me BS in general because how many rookies you see come out, they're on a rookie deal. Like, I mean, you got a Bijan Robinson, a Brees Hall, these kind of guys, they're on rookie deals still.
Yeah.
They're the best guys in the friggin' league at their position, but yet
Yeah.
they have to play for less money than all these other guys. Like, so I always feel like it should be like a 3-year contract for all rookies, and that third year should be like an option,
Yeah.
at that point too, and figuring it out. But to me, that'd be the way that I think it should go for the players' sake. But that's not why we're here. We're not here for the players' sake.
Yeah.
Um, the only guy I will highlight on here, and I think it's because of what they're going to have to do and how he was schemed in the offense. Dude, Jonnu Smith had a great week. I mean, he had a great game that Monday night. I'm going to look here. I think he got like 19 points or something crazy.
Wow.
No, that was in a different league. Damn, he only got 8.3. Maybe it was somewhere else I was looking, but that might be on the year. He had 19.3 points, but he had this past week it was a much different game.
Yeah.
He got 7 targets, caught 6 of them for 53 yards. You put a touchdown into that too, and he's now like a top there. But like he was getting looked at, especially for that short yardage stuff. And I say that because if they're using Skylar Thompson, it might be a lot more short yardage stuff, and therefore Jonnu might actually have a pretty decent week
Yeah.
against Seattle, which is kind of a middling defense. So might be another guy to look at, but that's if you're desperate.
Yeah. Like I said, yeah, I was gonna say, like sometimes those backups, like those little check downs, just short little tight end routes and just hit
Yeah.
that.
Dude,
Yeah.
he's getting peppered, and he's an athletic guy, so it's one of those like they were running even like bubble screens for him and weird stuff. Like he's a
Gotcha.
solid guy. So another one I like to have. I'm still waiting on Greg Dulcich to really like snap out of it. Like I'd like to see that, but he's in an offense where they're not throwing it further than a yard past the line of scrimmage, so
Yeah.
that might be a tough one for him.
Yeah.
But anywho, good luck to those who need a tight end this week. I'm with you, EJ. I'm staying near a top. I'm gonna go with a Hunter Henry, a Micah Sicky, or something like that.
Yeah.
Don't mess around with it too much. Don't get too cute over here.
Yeah.
Now we're off to Trade Central, and this lady here, she is Trade Central. She is looking for trades, and I'm putting on my Adam Schefter hat, but I've been told there might be a trade in the works with
Uh-oh.
her and somebody else too, but she needs help on at wide receiver and running back. I think she's willing to do like a 1 for 2, meaning you could take maybe some of her top talent and go get yourself a little, get a top guy if you're willing to give her maybe a running back and a wide receiver or something like that. She's got Malik Neighbors. If you believe in Malik Neighbors, he had a great week this past week. Maybe you go for somebody like him and can give her 2 players that that are good, not great, whereas he's going to be potentially a great one. Who knows? But we'll see. But she's looking, so reach out to that lady there with the 2 thumbs up. This was taken before the injuries, obviously, because they'd be down if she was if it was taken afterwards.
Yeah.
But this is Trade Central.
Yeah.
Now, like you mentioned before, now we got to know Javante or Godwin. Obviously, Godwin.
Yeah.
Both.
Obviously.
Hey, Javante, he ticked up this week. He went from 4.4 last week to getting in double digits this week. So he is trending up. Unfortunately for him, Godwin did the same thing. Godwin trended upward as well. And as you all can see, position rank. God, Chris Godwin, number one wide receiver
Number one.
through the first 2 weeks of the year. Zach is an expert after all. He predicted number one status for Chris Godwin. We know it. And Javante, not doing so great. Not even a running back 3. He is currently number 38. He had a better week this week, but that offense is rough. Whereas Chris Godwin is in a good offense and is doing much better. So Zach is still in the lead by a whole lot. I think Zach is leading now. Let's see if my math is correct. It's 15.6 points for Javante compared to 41.6 points with Godwin. So that's a difference of 26 points right there. It is going to be an uphill battle for Javante to get there. Come on, Javante.
I wouldn't trust anybody in that Denver offense right now.
No. Oh my God, they're brutal. It is brutal. Ugh, rough. But that's where that's at. Now, the comment of the week I threw on here, I loved it that Glenn went to the game and he also played the player. He played Leggett just so he had somebody to root for. So I loved it that we got to see it. It was pretty cool. So good for Glenn to support this team. They need all the support they can get.
Yeah,
Exactly, EJ.
yeah.
I
I,
agree with that face.
I
Oh my
thought
God.
I thought I seen that they're selling tickets for like $2 or something like that. So
Yeah.
Glenn might have got a good deal on those tickets.
Bob said something crazy like that. Yeah, it was like under $2. It was something
Yeah,
crazy where like they are really just trying to get people there. And that owner is such a weird dude. Who knows, man? They're just trying to get people in to see it, and they've already benched their quarterback.
yeah.
They're
I don't know what that's gonna do. So I mean,
Me neither. I mean, the number one pick last year. Here's what I'll say. I think you gotta because I don't mind it because I think you're seeing it hasn't looked good, and this is for a year plus. Now it's tough to say what is the problem, but if you can put a Dalton in there, a seasoned guy, and things are better, then maybe they're doing it because they got to know. Because they're probably looking at it as like we might have the number one pick again, and we need to
yeah,
know: are we riding with Bryce or are we not?
yep.
So if you put Dalton in there and your offense gets better and you look better, then it sounds like Bryce ain't the answer, and you're probably going another direction. So maybe
Ah,
that's why they're doing it. I don't know.
yeah. I don't see how it's gonna get much better, but I guess we'll see what
Yeah,
Andy Dalton can do because yeah, ugh,
yeah, it is. Yeah, it feels that way. It feels very icky. It feels
yeah.
very icky over there.
And then everyone just keep putting up that trade that they did with the Bears everywhere.
Oh,
That doesn't sit well either, probably with their
no. And it's
so
funny over here, the Bears are already like Bears fans are already like, boo Ryan Poles, what a terrible guy. Like GM, he's like because Caleb hasn't looked great, but it's like the offensive line has been terrible with the Bears, and so then it's become this huge thing, and yeah, it's
mhm,
been very weird.
yeah.
But we are heading into week 3, so here's the standings as we head in. In the East, there's very much a divide. We've only played teams in the East, so far from the East. So 2-0 or 0-2, depending on who you are in the East. And in the West, much more parity. You got Suck a Dick at the top at 2-0, a bunch of 1-1s, including yourself, and then you got the Colt Fins that are down there at 0-2. So not feeling the love over there on Andy's side. But what I'll highlight to everybody is just so everybody's aware, the first two champions of the league, we are still at the top. So y'all got to come for it for Sam and I. Just saying that, we're the first two champions in here. We seem to still be at the top. So bring it.
It's a long season, Greg. Long season.
Whatever, EJ. Whatever. I'll talk my shit now as I can because you're right. It's a big long season. Okay. All right. Now I always hate this. I never know where to like put this thing and whatnot. But anywho, we can put it there so we can see the projections. We have Uncle in a Funkle because Andy sure is in a funk right now. He is 0-2, looking to get better, but he's facing Casey, who is 1-1, who's had some ups and downs here so far, has a decent squad. So we'll see what happens. What do you think might be the deciding factor in this one? And do you see any changes or anybody that the other should be weary of?
uh, I mean Rashid White, right? I don't know if is he going to be playing.
True, but he
Yeah.
has Bucky Irving. So the nice part is Andy probably hopes he's not in the end, because then
Oh
he
yeah, I
just put
forgot.
Bucky Irving in, and you got
Gotcha.
nobody to take stuff from him. So he probably hopes he's not. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna
that's
guess.
true. That's true. Yeah, or he they say he's gonna play, and then they hold him out, or
Oh
they hold
yeah,
on till the end, and then they then they don't play him as much or something like that. So
classic 49ers move right there. That's what they did
yeah,
always with Debo. Oh yeah, Debo's gonna play, and he just goes and he's just out there to be out there. You
yeah.
know, yeah,
It's
that's
it's
a tough one.
it's just wild that Jordan Mason just projected 22 points, is averaging 25 a game. It's just like nothing with CMC out. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I agree. It is weird, and I think on Casey's side, you have Jamar Chase and Garrett Wilson, who you'd love to lean on, but Jamar's not looking great. Garrett Wilson going against New England, also that Jets offense is kind of weird right now. seems like he's throwing to running backs more. He's throwing to receivers. Like who knows what's happening there? So that's a
Yeah.
tough one on that side, I would say. And I don't know if Casey's going to stick with the Cowboys or not against Baltimore Ravens. That's a tough matchup for them too. So a lot of things, kind of going on in this matchup. It's close projection wise.
Yep.
I kind of like you got to see, are these big guys going to come out and play? Is
Yeah.
Jamar Chase, Garrett Wilson, Sam Laporta, Travis Kelsey, like George Pickens, even I'd throw him in there. Like, are these guys going to actually come out and play some ball this week?
Yeah.
We'll have to find out.
Yeah. I think this one can go either way.
Yeah, but Andy does have the number one quarterback in our league so right now in Baker
Oh,
Mayfield. So big things could be on the way for that one.
yeah.
Next
Hopefully.
one is your matchup, and you are facing Sam. So he's number one in the West. You are number three in the West right now. Your projections are very close. He's slightly above you, but I want to say two highest. Oh, fuck, man. I'm tired, obviously. Two highest projections right here, close to 120 for each of you. What are you worried about in this matchup?
He's got a good team. This will be I'm gonna have to score a lot of points, I think. I'm just hopeful that obviously you see that number one, Alvin Kamara, doesn't average his average is 36 points. I just hope he doesn't go off. I mean, I just gotta hope his running backs just don't go crazy. Like they're averaging 22, 26, and 36. So just
Yeah.
I think it's gonna come down to that. And basically my team, I'm just hoping St. Brown's able to go. Otherwise, my receiving core is going to be a little dwindled. But other than that, I'm pretty confident in my running backs. I don't know about Zamir White yet. I put him in there just because of his projection, but I'm still a little worried about that. And then I'm probably going to pick up a different defense. Obviously, I'm not going to have the Jags going against the Buffalo Bills. So
Yeah. And
I'll be
that
on the
one,
wire.
it's interesting because you're going to play White and Bowers. Let's just say you do it. That's a tough one because I think you always going to leave Bowers in because of how they use him. They just use him in so many ways. And I like Zamir White, against the Carolina Panthers. I mean, the Carolina
Yeah.
Panthers right now, I think you got to play your running backs against them. That's basically what's been proven, right? So I think you're making a smart choice. Like, what's your other option?
Uh, who was the other one I was thinking of? I don't have it in
Well, you said you
front.
have AJ Brown, so if he's playing, you might play him instead.
Yeah. Najee Harris was who I had in before.
Okay.
I can't remember who they're playing. I think he's got a tough matchup though.
Yeah, he's playing the Chargers.
Chargers. So that one hit or miss. And then I got like Devin Singletary, who's putting up points just because he's getting dropped just little passes to him, in garbage time. So I mean he's been putting up, I don't know, like 12, 14 points both weeks. So
I want
I
to say
don't
he had
know.
like 17 this past week. I
Did
want to
he?
say,
Yeah.
like, yeah, I mean, he's getting the ball. So,
So
you
I got a
know,
couple options, but yeah, like I said, they're going against the Panthers, and White hasn't been in hasn't scored a touchdown yet, but maybe this would be the week to score and kind of go off like he did last year. So we'll
yeah.
see.
And it's obviously early, and he had big games with Achan and Kamara, and Connor had a big game too. He just kind of got outshadowed by those two guys. But look, if you think his number one, number three, number seven running backs are on his team,
Yeah.
and I noticed that with Sam. He always seems to have like the top running backs in our league, at least like a duo or trio of them. So
Yeah.
something to definitely worry about on your side, but it'll be the matchup of the week
Be a good
in
matchup.
my mind. All right, next would be me versus my wife, and it is gonna be real quiet around here. So I can already tell you that it's gonna be real quiet. Um, for me, I'm not as worried if this is her team, but it's not gonna be her team. So we'll just have to see what is going on. But think about like this is how bad her team is. Like she's got Miles Sanders and Tyler Johnson, like going. Roma Dunze's even out there. So I didn't see Tyler Johnson because he actually might have some decent run this week. But Roma Dunze, the man's averaging 2 points. Okay,
Yeah.
like, and that's what she's down to. So it sounds like she's got potential trades in the works. I don't know, so we'll see how that goes. On my end, Rashid Shaheed has earned his spot. I just gotta put him in. And the worst part is, DJ, he's not gonna do it this week. He's gonna it's gonna be a down week because I'm actually gonna play him. So it's gonna be a down week for him. Uh But like I said, I just feel like I got to put him in. He's earned his spot. He's the number 5 receiver so far. He's got a touchdown 2 weeks, 2 games in a row. He's getting big plays, and he's always in motion. If that continues, that'll be nice. But so
Yep.
that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's pretty convenient that you're playing her right after all of her injuries. So I don't know if the who's
right?
making who's making the schedules around
Yeah.
here. So
Yeah, no kidding. I just kind of shifted that one in there.
yeah,
But
yeah,
but
made a
yeah,
custom.
I definitely feel blessed that she's got some injuries, and maybe that'll help me get through this one because I don't like Kyron against San Fran. Um, some of my other matchups I don't mind. In all honesty, I think Detroit, Arizona. Oh yeah, that's how EJ. That's been a long one, but Detroit versus Arizona. Hopefully that'll be a nice shootout because both defenses aren't great, but Detroit's actually been a lot better defensively than we thought they were going to be. But Arizona's not.
Yeah.
They just went up against the Rams that were depleted, so I don't know about them. But we'll see how it goes, and I will play a different defense. I'm actually debating it now that Tua's not in there. I don't feel as worried with Skyler, so I don't feel like I have to, but I might find a different defense to play. But otherwise, it's a matchup, and that's I think the largest point differential projected wise in the week. So far, that has not worked out, but but
Yeah.
we'll see for this coming week. Like I said, it'll be a little quiet around. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, next up, a battle of the 0 and 2s in the East and the bottom of the East. We have Kyle going up against Glenn. Both, again, a little depleted. You have Glenn, who is missing CMC. You know, Kyle just unfortunately, his teams just haven't lived up to what we thought they were going to do. It looks like Justin Jefferson will play. Ken Walker, it seems like from what Sam said, he might be back too. So he might be able to replace Ezekiel Elliott in this lineup. So I think these lineups just aren't updated with what they're actually going to do for their teams. But either way, neither has lived up to what they wanted to do. As you can see, I want to see what they're averaging. I think you can't tell what their average is for each week because they're when you see the average on this screen, it's just the average of those players. It's not technically
Yep.
the average that they've actually put up. But both teams have kind of underperformed so far within the year, which is unfortunate and often due to injury. Anything else that like you might highlight in this game, or anything that you're thinking of as maybe a differentiator in the game?
No, not really. Like you said, I don't think they're. I was trying to see what they got on the bench because obviously it won't be the same. Obviously Glenn's going through some injuries, and then I mean I think you guys kind of talked about it in the group chat. Was Alec Pierce from the Colts? He's been pretty good for them
Yeah.
or for them. I mean, and
Yep.
he's got him on the bench. So I mean, he might be a guy you can plug in that flex play.
Yep.
Try to get 10 or 12 out of him, another touchdown or something. So, but
Completely
like you
agree.
said, he's got too many injuries. He's got Jaden Reed on the bench, which he ain't going to be nothing until Love's back, unfortunately.
Yep.
Uh, but then same
And
with Kyle. He's got a couple guys that he can kind of plug in and injury with Kenneth Walker. So, but
yeah.
this one I think will just be a kind of a slugfest to see who could end up on top.
But I do like that Alec Pierce pickup. He picked him up kind of last minute when he put somebody on IR or something. Yeah, and like I liked it because him and Richardson seem to have some chemistry together because Richardson's looking for him all the time.
Yep.
So that might be one of the most surprising things of this year, especially with the Colts. Like we look at Alec Pierce as being the odd man out because we looked at it as like Adonai Mitchell was drafted and we felt like that was to take over the Alec Pierce role. Downs being injured has obviously kept Downs out, but we thought, okay, you got Pittman and Adonai Mitchell on the outside, Downs in the slot, and that would be what you got. And then Alec Pierce is the odd man out. And instead it's been like the opposite. Pierce has been his like top target. And I think it's because of the style of play that Richardson plays with, which is I don't want to say jazzy. I just want to like this offbeat. He's not a guy that's just going to run the play in rhythm. That's not what he does. And I think Alec Pierce does well in that environment of doing a lot of go stuff, but also knows how to just play the game when somebody is in when the play kind of breaks down. So that's
Yep.
why I think they've had such a great connection. But nice pickup, Glenn. I think he probably will go that route, I would imagine. And unless he's wanting to still support his team and get Leggett out there, but I suggest you kind of tie that Piercy you picked up with your quarterback and at least maybe get another boom touchdown, man. That could be the difference in the game for that one.
Yep.
Next up, we have Murphy's Law, which is Tyler at 1-1, going up against Bob with Beat the Swifties, who's also 1-1, but they're different 1-1s, I would say, because on Tyler's side, I don't know if he's cracked 100 points yet. For a week, I don't know that. I actually feel bad now that I'm saying it because I'm probably wrong on that. But anyway, either way, Bob has actually been a pretty high scoring team, but is 1-1. So he's only second in the West right now, but that's only because he lost to Sam who had a great game with Alvin Kamara. How do you see this one playing out? Do you feel like Tyler finally hits his projection, and do you think Bob comes down to his projection? Because Bob's been overshooting it to it 2 games in a row, whereas Tyler hasn't reached it. But I don't know if there's anything on either side that you're like, hey, this is something I might notice as the difference in the game, or even maybe a game changer or something to look out for.
I don't know. I like Bob's team, like you said. I think he got a bad matchup last week against Sam. I think Saquon Barkley is gonna be there all year. He looks
Man,
rejuvenated. He's
does.
fully back. Jalen Hurts had another good game, or better than the first week.
Yep.
So I think he's starting to move around. They say he's fully healthy. He still kind of looks like he's moving a little slow to me, but slower when he's
Yeah.
running the ball. But I mean, he'll be there. Yeah, I like his team. Obviously, I think Tyler, he's still got a few holes, like you said. DeAndre Swift. I don't know if I trust him. That projection's still there at 15. I
Yeah.
don't
Weird.
know if I can keep trusting that.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah. Those are
then
tough in the
Briar,
early part.
Mute that at tight end. So I don't know. This will be a tight end battle because I don't know if Ingram's going to go or what's going to
Yeah,
happen.
true. Ingram
Both
or
those guys.
Mixon, so we don't know if either of them are going for Bob on that side. So we do have to wait for that to see if that's like what actually happens for Bob. Because I
Yeah.
get this feeling at least one of them's out, if not both of them being out. He got hit hard with Cooper Cup, going down 2. So
Mm,
that impacted Bob's team. So he doesn't really have that wide receiver throw out there. But Brian Robinson is not a bad flex spot at all. He can also obviously put him up into the running back spot if he wants to add some more flexibility and go with somebody else that's like on his bench. But on his bench, I don't see a lot. I mean, Gus Edwards or Gabe Davis. I mean, I don't know if I'd go anywhere with either of those guys. I mean, it's kind of a tough thing to say right now.
yeah.
But he still has a solid team there. And on Tyler's side, excuse me, kind of to your point, he's got DeAndre Swift in there. But, if you're going up against a Bob, to me, Swift doesn't have that upside that you're looking for, and I almost think he might want to roll with one of these receivers like an Amari Cooper to see if things change because they're going against the Giants. So I think that's a defense that you can attack with that, and I might actually do something more like that to try to see if Cooper can have one of those games that Cooper is known to have and get you 25 to 30 because they've gotten something right. So that might be the way to more go for him based on his current lineup and what he sees, but not terrible matchups. Minnesota's shown to be a good defense, though. I mean, Brian Flores has them turned around. New England is tough. They're going to slow the game down anyways, and they have a tough defense. Chicago has a tough defense. He's got Pittman out there going against Chicago. Pittman has not looked great, so far this year. So I think that part is difficult. And like I said, and like you had mentioned, DeAndre Swift, I just don't like him. Don't like him at all in general. I don't think he's great play. And Fryerby is going against the Chargers. Chargers are a good defense, and and Tyler actually has them, so he knows they're number 3 defense so far in the league. Now, some of that is going against Carolina, but week 1 they went against Vegas. Vegas isn't a great team, but man, they've shut both these teams down, and they look like a good defense. So
Yeah.
tougher on that side, man. So for Tyler, I'd say I might go with Amari Cooper, try to see if I can fit him in just for the shot at some upside. Cooper hasn't done much so far this year, so I'm not saying it for
Right.
that reason, but Cooper can, and he's shown it. Whereas Swift, remove last year. He played behind the Eagles line, and Saquon is showing you what a real running back does behind that line and is
Yeah.
crushing it. So
Yep. Yep.
that's where that goes. All right. Going to this is another I didn't throw it out there as like a matchup of the week, but I'm gonna put it out there kind of like that because both are 2-0. They're second and third in the East. An important divisional matchup between these two teams, between Zach and Louis. So, I don't you see anything here that tells you one way or the other what's going to happen? Louis' projection is not close to Zach's, but we don't have to go off of that. Louis knows he's doing, but partly that's partly because he's got Nakua out, so he's had to make some adjustment there. Jake Ferguson, we'll see if he plays. He might play this week. I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do. He also has T. Higgins. He's questionable, and that might be game time, so he might not play him anyways.
Yeah, I just don't see Louis just still doesn't have too much options, like you said, with all the injuries,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And Zach's got a pretty good team this year. I mean, you could just look at those projections and and the average. I mean, he's averaging 110 just with those guys. So
Yep.
Jonathan Taylor, James Cook, been solid. Obviously, we talked about Chris Godwin. Jalen Waddle might take a step down though with
Yeah. True.
Kate,
With
whatever his
Skylar
name is.
Thompson. Yeah,
Yeah,
Skylar Thompson,
Skyler.
the
Yeah,
guy
Skyler.
that's exactly the reason why you're saying it.
Skylar Thompson, yeah. So that might be something to look out for. I don't know if he's got anybody else, wide receivers on his bench that he could kind of plug in if he takes a step down. I still think Pitts is gonna have a decent year with Cousins now throwing the ball to him, and then Ayuk I think still pretty good running. Well, and Debo, I guess I didn't think Debo out. So yeah, he's really the man now.
Yep.
So that's huge for his crew. So he could plug in Ayuk at receiver and then see what else if he's got a running back or somebody else to plug in there too to get rid of Waddle if he
Yeah,
needs
because
to.
that Waddle projection is solely based off QB play. Because to be that
Yeah.
low at 9, they're basically saying we don't trust this quarterback. And yeah,
Yeah.
so then he could, like you mentioned, put in a Justice Hill, a Terry McLaurin. He's got I don't know, I will say I'm not huge on Zach's bench. That's one of the things when we talked before about it, but I like the starting roster, but his bench I'm not as huge as big on for him for situations like this. So, not sure what they do about it. On the other side, I mean, with Nakua and Cup down, Demarcus Robinson is going to be the probably the top target earner there with the Rams. So that I think projection of 9.6. I think he probably outpaces that. I mentioned earlier how Jackson Smith and Jigba, has had a great game this past week. Maybe they've turned around there. Maybe they're going to feed him the rock some more. So we'll see on that end. But this will be a really interesting matchup. I think it'll be much closer than the projections are putting out there. I'll just say that.
Yep. Yep.
So good luck to both of you. This will be a one to watch for to see what happens.
Yep.
And good luck to the rest of everybody this week. Lots of injuries, lots of stuff that's going down that you all have to kind of be aware of now, right? Like there's too much going on almost. I'll say that. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now, but too many injuries, too many things going on where you've got to make some flexes, make some moves. Trade Central already showed you that Allison's there, but others of you might be there too. I mean, you might be thinking, "Hey, I'm too depleted right now. That I need to get. Might have to trade one of my top players just to get two good players." Oftentimes, you want to try to do the opposite if you can, but when you're that decimated, at every win counts, and if you're already starting 0-2 right now, you don't want to slip to 0-3 and start having to try to claw your way out. So there might be some moves that you're trying to do there.
Yep.
Any parting words for the FFFL, EJ, before we go?
Nope. I agree with everything you said. Week 2 was full of injuries, and now we're all going to see how deep our benches are for some of the people,
Yeah,
or how good of a wheeling dealing you are. So we'll see what Allison can do. So
true.
yeah.
Very true on that. So keep positive. It is still early. It's just that you don't like to fall in those holes because then I think once you do fall in those holes, you're starting to feel more pressure to do other things that you maybe shouldn't do. So maybe we'll go that route, EJ, of like
Yeah.
don't do anything too irrational,
Yeah.
everybody. But enjoy your week 3. It's only Tuesday. Good luck on the waiver wire. We have lots of people in need of stuff. So that'll also be interesting to see who drops. So when people are picking up players, they got to drop a player. So maybe you might, one man's trash is another man's treasure, as they say.
And we have one IR spot, correct?
We have 2.
Two. Okay. So that people might be able to use that
I'm
too.
pretty sure. Hold on. Let
Okay.
me hold on. And I'm sorry, people, that I don't have this down. No, we have 2. Hold
It
on.
is
No,
just
maybe no, it is just 1.
one. Okay. Yeah. I don't have
I have
anybody, so I haven't had to move, knock on wood, but I mean, that's a good spot to, you don't have to drop anybody. You just pick somebody up if you got one of those injuries
yeah,
to come back.
correct. Correct. And for me, I'm gonna confirm that. I'm in way too many leagues, people. I apologize because I really
Yeah.
am. It's funny, I'm in the league info and I can't seem to no, here we go. Flex 18. 1. So yeah, I kept it to
Yep.
1.
Yep.
Um and you know what? And we'll see how this year goes. Every year's different, but if we need to revisit that, with next year's, like we could add another if we have to. But we also have like a deeper bench. Because you gotta think, what did we draft? 15 or 16 rounds? I think we did 15. I think we did 15 rounds because we don't do a kicker. So we have 7 on the bench. A lot of benches are like 5 or 6. So I
Yeah.
think it's
I like just one.
yeah, I think we kind of decided that before of we made it a bigger bench, but only one IR spot. So yeah, it works out. And some of you might have to keep it, and that makes you got just tough decisions to make on it. So good.
Okay.
Thanks for throwing it out there, EJ, so people know what to do. And use that IR spot, people. I've had people like not using it already. I'm saying this year, I'm like, open up a free space for you, especially when you know somebody's on IR. They're not
Yep.
coming back for at least 4 weeks at that point. So make sure you're using up those spots. Be wise with the moves that you're making. But EJ,
Yep.
thank you for hopping on here with me. I know that your partner in crime couldn't join because he just was too distraught by the loss that he took
Yep.
against you. But
Yep.
I
That's
appreciate
true.
you, being on here. So much love
Yep.
to you. Uh, give our love to Amber as well. And
Will.
then much love to everybody out there in the FFFL. Good luck this week to everybody but my wife. And I will see you all next week, same time, same place. All right. All right. Peace out. Thanks, EJ.
Yep. Thanks, Rick. See ya.
Bye.